Hey, how are you?
Hello. Ugh. At least Zoom is working. Yesterday I did an interview and Zoom was not working at all.
These I work in IT and you know, it's just how it goes. It's so bad. I don't know if your Instagram has been weird in the last like couple hours, but I've been having like some weird issues. It's crazy.
No, yeah, Instagram, today and Facebook. But the other day I couldn't log into my Instagram for over 19 hours. I don't know what was going on.
I some I'm like, all right, they wanted to update something. Someone like it's like let's do it. It's all good, and I can assure you it is not good because everyone is suffering.
Yeah,
It's just the
it's
way it
terrible how
goes.
much we rely on, social media, and when it crashes, everyone's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
Yeah. And it's like a college intern who's like, "Hey, we should push this, put like change into production. Let's do it." And then never does it. It's like, oh,
No.
that's not a good idea.
Oh, wait.
But no, I'm happy Zoom's working. Yeah, I was like 10 minutes on. Let's get a little early. Um, it did make me update, so that's why I was like on. It just started right away because I was like, oh, I knew I'd get pulled something. I don't be at like 7 o'clock and have you be like, hey, where you at? Are you on? And I'm like, oh, it's currently updating and making me, you know, tell about my life story too.
Yeah, last time I did an interview, this person's like Zoom had an update for like 30 minutes and he was like, "Can we boost it to 30 minutes later?" I was like, "Yeah, I understand. My Zoom doesn't work on my phone, so I have to do it on my computer."
Uh, well, yeah, yeah, that's thank God here. We got it all good. But
All
yeah, so
right.
thank you so much for, making time today and having a slot for us and reaching out and all whatnot. I'm really excited and again, just thank you.
Of course. So I know about you guys because my friend Josh takes your photos.
He's the best. Uh
That's
he
how I know about you guys. Like, I don't know where you guys, I think he's from like Philly or something. So I know you guys might be in that area, Pennsylvania. I have no idea.
Yeah, we're based in Philly. So what happened is he shot um uh for a buddy of mine's band, Common Crime, and the photos were really cool. So I was just like, our mutual friend Brandon, who's been pushed. I was like, hey Brandon, like, it's like, you know this guy. Nobody knew anyway, so I just reached out, and um, he knocked it out of the park at our July show. And one of the things that he's been really down for is that, like, one thing as we're, growing and trying to like kind of like unify really and find who we are. Uh, we are missing like a key piece, and like the visual side of being in a band is very important.
Hmm.
Um, so he's like essentially I want like he is the going to be like a fifth cheer up Dusty member. Technically, 'cause we're gonna have him on all our shows this upcoming year. Um, just because yeah, he's awesome to work with. So small world and yeah, shout out
Yeah,
Josh. Told him what's
I
coming.
met him. Oh my God, when was it? 2023, maybe? When From Ashes to New, Catch Your Breath played in, I think, Pennsylvania or something. And me and my friend drove 10 hours for that show. And that's where I met Josh because we were doing the If Not For Me after party. And that's where I met him and my friend John. And I was like, you know what? I like Josh. He's cool.
Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's like always like eager to learn, and I'm kind of like, hey, you know what? We don't know any better, and you know better, and we know that you're trying to learn and find your stuff.
Yep.
So let's just do it together. And yeah, really excited. We hung out with him last night, did some rain picks and bothered traffic for a little bit, as 30-year-olds, and it was good stuff.
Listen, I'm a photographer myself, so to do like photos, like you really gotta like think outside the box for promos
Mhm.
because everyone basically does the same promos, like the fish eye lens ones that are like really wide shots or really like zoomed in. Like I just did promos for my friends in Glass Waves, and I mean it. We were in the drummer's driveway and we put their van behind us to with the high beams, and then we used a fog machine and a hose, and the vocalist's wife used the hose to make it look like it was raining. So it literally looked like it was raining the whole time during the photo shoot, but in reality it was just hose
Yeah, no,
and a
you gotta you gotta
machine.
do it. That's great. There's
You have to, I feel like photographers really don't get that much credit, but I feel like Josh has grown a lot in the past year since I met him with his photography and stuff. Like he's grown a lot.
No, yeah, I think you know what? I think photographers should get more credit. I'm not saying this because you're a photographer and Josh is a photographer, but in general, and like if there's like, if there's like the band that's watching this, or I don't know what if this is recorded, you put this out, but it's like, if you're a band, get yourself a good photographer, build that relationship. I think the one common theme that I've seen in every like, band that I enjoy seeing is that they have a really good photographer that's with them all the time, and they're constantly working together, and they're like, not just like a business relationship, but they have that friendship,
Yep.
and that creativity kind of flows together. It's beautiful. So um
I love it. I like connecting with musicians and stuff, but like now, like I'm a photographer, but I'm taking a break from photography for a
mhm,
little bit. I'm doing like, me and my business partner run Summer Scream Fest, which is we did our first one this year in Brooklyn. We had like over 200 attendees. We had 9 bands. We had like a Skylar Drive, and if not for me, co-headlining for our first festival.
yeah,
We had a
super
bunch
dope.
of other
Congrats.
bands like Glassways Varsity, Farsight, and all that. So it was pretty good. And then I'm the business partner that goes this year and interviewing bands for next year. And I think I did like over 35 interviews already, 40 out of like 150.
Oh wow, when did you guys start? Wow, that's a lot.
So the festival is ran by the Concert Chronicles, which is the publication that me and my business partner
Hmm.
own. And we're like a magazine that does like photography reviews, press releases, and stuff for like labels and musicians and stuff. So we decided, I believe it was like March, December, January, February,
Hmm.
February or March, that we're like, we should run a festival. And we had 4 people on our team at the time. It was 4 of us. So it was easy to run a festival at the time because, all of us were chipping in money, all of us knew bands and stuff. But then it went from a 4-man team to a 2-man team in less than a month.
No,
Yeah.
no,
So
I get
the
that.
2 other people got kicked out. So now it's just me, my business partner Sabrina, running it. So I basically do like the aspect of, talking to bands, social media, and she does like the other business aspect of it to keep everything running smoothly, like talking to booking agents for like, venues and stuff. So she does all that. I do the cool stuff. I get to talk to people.
That's so cool. Awesome. And then you said you talked to like 30 bands in like 30 hours. So like, 1 hour band, 30 hours. Like, so when did you guys start the interview process for all of this?
No, November?
Oh
I
wow. Okay, okay.
decided like we made a form, for people to fill out so we can
Hmm.
check it out and see like how many like monthly listeners they have, how much they would want, where they're from. But I decided I was like any band can fill out a form, but that doesn't show me who they are as people. Like are they personable? Like what type of personalities do they have? Like an interview will show that like I can ask you questions and you just answer them and it doesn't feed off of any other questions basically, and it's just like you rush it. But every interview I've done, like we just laugh the whole time about the most random things, and it's fun.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
why I
That's what you
want to
need.
see, because if you're not fun, if you're not personable, what are we going to expect at a festival? Like, how are you going to act? Are you just going to sit there at the booth, at your merch table, and not interact?
Bunch of
That's
cool
how
guys,
I look
cool
at it.
guy in it. Yeah, you don't try to avoid all that. I get you.
All right.
Yeah,
So
no,
you can introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about the band.
yeah, I absolutely. So I am Brian Marin from Cheer Up Dusty. I am the guitar player. I am essentially the unofficial spokesperson for the band. And I'll relate to that stories because, like, we're, you know, uh, we're like a very loving group, but we just like, life gets in the way, and I've had this whole thing planned, and I'll get into that spiel later. But Cheer Up Dusty, started by our singer, back in like 2018, 2019. Um, he essentially, you know, he was heavy in the South Jersey pop punk scene, but like life happened. He had a kid, very young, kind of like dedicated early on to being a good dad. So this whole thing, once he, felt that he had time and, kind of was really there for his son, um, this started as a coping mechanism with him and the rhythm guitarist, uh, Nick Silvidio. From there, it was like 2 years gone by. It was just him. I joined along. Um, you know, I was really looking for a group of friends after being in some bands around the area, and I met these guys. And it's been a fun ride ever since. We grew with our buddy Caleb and Nick, and they've all known each other for a while. So it's like this small world situation. And essentially, yeah, we write like just very, it's a very coping pop punk project that just, we want it to be very fun. Like we don't have anything but, people who just really enjoy music in the band, if that makes sense. Um, and I mean that in a way where, you know, uh, it's like ADHD with instruments, if that ever makes sense. I don't know how to explain that. It's like everybody is very like naturally talented at music, and it's really cool to see. And it makes, and everyone feeds off it in a way. And we've been this core group for about a year now. Essentially, after since I joined in 2020, the first song that I wrote with Justin was "Everybody Hates Me" with our producer Pete Zen, and that uh, you know was something that we were kind of like at a low point as a group. We put that out, and I'd say it did above and beyond what we had ever thought. And that was a really awesome way of kind of re-energizing. Everyone's kind of like, hey, this is, what we're here for, you know. And, you know, from there, we wrote the next CP together. Don't take it personally, don't take it seriously, which is our ode to our, you know, main conversations as a band. Like, is what we're doing worth it? What's the point, at the end of it all? Um, you know, uh, do the people who love me respect what I do? Am I a disappointment to them and all that stuff? And those are just recurring themes that'll kind of like carry on. Um, and then through that, yeah, we've just really have gelled as a group. I know that's a very ADHD answer, but it just reflects who we are. Um, from there, we're gearing up for a new set of things to say based upon these topics, and how we've grown and how these things have impacted, and maybe how our perspective has changed as part of accepting certain things in life, or uh just realizing that maybe we're negative or we're too positive and things like that. So yeah, um that's the big overall question, of like, hey, what's the story of the band?
That,
um
well, that's I think the best description out of all the interviews that I got about a band. That's
yeah.
great. I love that. I like learning about bands and their history. Like I try not to like ask like, the typical boring questions,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Sometimes it's easy to feed off of it and you can ask other questions, but I haven't really listened to you guys only a few times because like Josh like posted you guys,
Hmm.
and when you guys hit me up, I think on the page,
Yeah, because we
I
were
was
like,
like I was like
yeah.
I think I know that band. But that's good.
Yeah.
I A lot of bands I've been seeing put like filling out the form and stuff like I know, and I was like, you know what? Even like I tell everybody, I was like, even if you guys aren't chosen for like 2025, there's always 2026, 2027, like 2026. I already told my business partner, I was like, I am down for like a pop punk fucking festival. Like always grounded is pop punk, punk pop and all that. Like you don't really see that type of festivals either. You see like a lot of metalcore nowadays. Like that's what we do, like deathcore. But I don't feel like you don't really see pop punk anymore,
No,
really.
and then there's that mix. It's kind of like, and it's funny. Like the next batch, we kind of like we see that there's a blend in between audiences, right? Like you know, Caleb and Nick are a huge fan of the heavier stuff. Justin's 50-50. I'm in there occasionally with uh, my interest kind of being also ADHD like Caleb's, but just based on my background, and I'll explain later, just like it gets into other like random stuff. What was I gonna say? But yeah, like new stuff. We're actually, we're trying to throw some breakdowns in there. We're kind of trying to like really kind of change the way we do something during the off time. Um, because like 2023, we geared up to put out the EP. Don't take it personally. We're really proud of the art project as a whole. Um, we're like we wanted to make our lives sound better, so we kind of spend a lot of butting heads and try to invest in ourselves in that. And then we, and this happens, some people won't own up to it, but I'll own up to it, and I'm okay with that, with my friends. But we botched that release, right? We felt that there's like a year, 2 years afterwards, you can there's a lot of like, oh, coulda, shoulda, would have, I would have made, just to give each song a little bit of love and things like that. So um we felt defeated, so I had some off time as like everyone's kind of trying to like re-energize, and we were trying to stay present, play a smaller amount of shows. But I joined a hardcore band. Caleb's into a lot of heavy music, like I said, so getting thrown into a different world, coming back out of it, and time to write music together. Um, you know, I'm excited for what's in store and what people will hear of this blend. So it's like, yeah, and hopefully when that pop punk festival comes, we'll kill it with this stuff too. But yeah, it's just like funny you say that because it's like I felt like that's a lot of for what Caleb listens to, for like an artist like Bill Murray, who could kind of prove like, hey, we can do fun pop stuff, and then just also like we can kind of slam it down.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's a kind of like a good way where I'm like, I want to kind of emulate. I don't want to like, I want to do it in a very cheer up, dusty style, but there's an energy there, and I like that.
So,
So
like,
yeah,
how
stay
did you
tuned.
guys even come up with the name Cheer Up Dusty?
Yeah, great question. So our sad leader in chief, Justin, uh, he was in a band when he was younger, or I think maybe coming out of at one point. But there's another guy called Justin in the band, whatever. So they called him Dustin as like Justin number two. And at that time, Justin just, you know, like any anxiety riddled person, you're kind of like, especially when you're younger, you just don't know how to handle things, right? So he'd get, they would kind of be like, "Oh, just cheer up, Dusty," kind of like poking him in a way. And then when looking for a band name to start, that stuck with him. That's a very poor way of telling that story, but that's the gist of what he'll say. But that's their fault for making unofficial spokesperson being very busy.
I always wonder. I was like reading the name. I was like, that
Yeah,
it must be like a most random name, or it has to have a story behind it. It's either one.
yeah. There's a good story, and then there's Dusty and metaphorical Dusty, whatever we're trying to keep it at.
So, as a band, like, what are your inspirations that you guys feed off of to like create Cheer Up Dusty music, basically? Like, what are like
Yeah,
your inspirations as a musician, like compared to like your band members and everything? So when you guys make music, like, is there any bands that like you sound like?
yeah. That's a very great question that I'm bad at answering. But here we go. Ready? So, um, uh, Justin and Nick, they wrote EP1. Justin, they both have a very, very like true and true Philly, South Jersey pop punk influences from tons of local acts. to the very typical, like, Wonder Years, Real Friends, State Champs, like Sum 41, Day to Remember, everything from, early 2000 to, early tens, very core pop punk. I, I can name it and they'll know it. Caleb on the ADHD side, very heavy all the time. I'd say he was the one that got the band into Bill Murray. He's the one that's constantly listening to the heaviest bands. And, when I'm, you know, someone's telling me about a hardcore band, he's the person that I'm texting on the side really quick, like, hey, do you know this band? Have you heard of this band? um, but I think that's a good range. And then I come from, a blend where I'll know random have like select hardcore bands and harder bands I listen to, my core pop punk influences. Um, I am, uh, I was born in Costa Rica, so I'm a proud Latino, and I say that where, I love my cultural music. So there's a lot of, you know, stuff outside of the genres that I listen to, and that I grew up listening to, and that affects my guitar playing. So that's kind of, I would say, an outer element where, sometimes our producer will like we'll try to reel it in, not make it jazzy, not make it jammy, not make it something, and kind of be like keep it to what we do. Um, and then yeah, and then sometimes I'm just kind of like I'm very passionate about like emotional, like raw music, if that makes sense. You know, it could be very simple, it could be very complex, but kind of as long as there's like a very um emotional tuck to it, which I would say is kind of like very exemplified in Everybody Hates Me. That's kind of what I'd say brings us together. Um, and then because I would say that's like a common thing, like that, the choruses and Legacy, and kind of the mood of Black Box, where we're kind of picking it up at the second verse, stuff like that. That it just is very characteristic. We kind of want to be like, if we're angry, we want you to be angry with us. If we're about to cry, I want you to be about to cry with us. If even like kind of the bridges and breaks down as well. Murphy's song. You know, our singers at one point homeless. I didn't have a house. Our rhythm guitarist at one point, like the day I joined the band, he had like gone to jail like over something that like was like very they kind of like blaming him over like a traumatic incident that like a death that he was dealing with, which is really like messed up stuff, right? So we all like have been in this like empty place, what it is to be like messed by the system. And um we'll have some parts where it's like we want you to get in tune with that, like we want you to kind of like and then that's what it comes together, I'd say. And then the core is Pete Zen helps us tie all that together, for the new stuff. uh he was somebody that I thoroughly enjoy writing music with because he loves writing music, if that makes sense. And when you're with somebody who's very excited, like if something's cool, they're excited about it, you're excited about it. You're not
Mhm.
trying to like we're not thinking um you know I don't know, like all the superficial things. You're like, hey, we're gonna make music, and then we're like, let's just like think of things that could give us an idea, and then we're just we're flowing. And it's it could be like a session where it takes like a little longer, or like in your interviews where you like takes 15 minutes and then you're just laughing your ass off and chucking
Exactly.
beans for like an hour and 30. He's that guy, and I'd say he's the sixth member of Cheer Up Dusty.
Oh my God, you
Because
guys have six. You guys have six people.
I don't say we have six people, but like they're like like him, Josh, like they're people who I would say
Part of the crew, basically, almost.
yeah, like it really does take a village. And I can't do this like I and when we took that down year and everyone was kind of miserable, I kind of like took some time to reflect back, like, okay, we're arguing about this, but we love each other. Like we're here, like, but you know, everyone thinks this, but like I know everyone thinks that in a way, and we just kind of need something to be unified, right? So I made this rule that, it's all for fun. And, like starting 20, out of when we came back from the last weekend, or everyone had some time off, and then we came back to it, I said, don't worry about it. I'm going to build a team, where we're going to have our guys. I'm going to, you know, let me let me be the one team member that takes care of certain things. We're gonna have Pete that takes care of things. We have Josh that takes care of certain things, and then everybody else's job is just to show up, have fun. We're gonna make music because of it. But yeah, and that's why we have so many members, but
Well,
they don't know that.
that's true though. Like as a band, you're gonna have it's basically a crew. Like let's for instance, like the band I work with, I'm their photographer, their videographer and stuff. Like if they go on tour or they do behind the scenes stuff, like I'm that person. And they have their makeup artist, which is the vocalist's wife. They have their the music video people. They have, Noah and
Hmm.
Brendan. They do social media mostly. Like one person controls social media, person controls Facebook. Like it literally takes a team to make music and to put out content. It's a hassle. I feel bad for you guys.
Hmm.
I get a headache just doing all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I well, the good part is that I'm part psychotic. And I like to say that in a way where, like, I don't know the burnouts. Like, I guess we'll face the burnout when it gets there, but like, I do enjoy, like, some of it leads to like a lot of fun things. So it's kind of like, not like, I wouldn't say like, if I say gambling, I feel like it makes it very dark, but I'm trying to say like it's like, you just never know what's gonna happen, if that makes sense, right? Like we met Josh, and then we started, like you get curious and you want to build your brand, and you're doing on social media, you connect with people, you being the personable guy, right? Then we get to like meet yourself, we're here, right? Um, you know, when we're meeting person, like we're trying to like connect with people and producers and stuff like that, it's like, oh, P and I knew each other, like now we're here. um I'm at shows supporting all my friends, and now I'm like seeing this band and that band, and this person's telling me to go see this person. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's like overwhelming at times, but sometimes I'm like, fuck, like this could be, something cool can happen, and I'm just like, I'd like for something cool to happen sometimes. But like then there's that urge where I'm like, I do just wanna sit down and play PS5 and then not have to post anything or look or just worry about anything for a couple of days. Um, or
Yeah,
even
that's like
think
me.
or forget that I have to plan, a bunch of the stuff and check up where, send the casual checkups on, where everything is for the release and blah 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 blah. I don't want to do that, but like then I'm like, oh crap, wait, I have a crazy idea. Like, and the art guy texts me, he's like, I have a crazy idea. And I'm like, oh, wait, this is so much cooler than I could have imagined. And, then I'm back in it. So that's how
Yeah,
that
that's
works.
how I am. I'm like, I just want to sit down and play some Call of Duty, and then I'm sitting here. I'm like, damn, I'm not being productive. I'm missing something. I should be doing
Yeah.
this and this and this more content. Sometimes you forget to take time for yourself, and then when you do take time for yourself, you feel really guilty. Like you should be doing something, to further yourself. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I just want to play Call of Duty.
Yeah. But then like you get back into it and I'm like, oh, wait, wow, look, I've connected with so and so or this, or like, oh, wow, this dumb meme I posted is actually taking off. And what the fuck? And is this the story so far? Drummer looking at my stuff? What do you mean? Oh, is this the drummer from Beartooth looking at my stuff? What do you mean? Is this the bassist from Third Eye Blind? Who? All true story, by the way. True story.
Yeah, I when I see people like see my story, I was like, I got noticed.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it's funny because it was like a really dumb meme. And sometimes I'm like, I post something, like I'm like, taking time, you're editing the content, or I'm like grabbing the stuff, making sure I'm like posting Josh's stuff on time. And then there's times when I'm like, oh crap, I need to get something. Let me just make a meme. It's like 1 in the morning. And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, why is this blowing up? And then you could tell this one's funny because like you could tell that like all these like band members are like sharing this joke. So just the thought of just like, like my shitty humor landing in the group chat for the story so far is be like, hey, LOL, this is you guys. It's kind of funny. It just weirdly meta.
Listen, memes are what gets bands noticed, especially on TikTok. I told this one band that they were my second interview. They're called oh my God, with Within Skies, I believe. And they they're in high school still. And I told them, I was like, that is, you guys have the perfect opportunity to do the stupidest shit in school and make the best TikToks. Like throw a water bottle at someone's head and then like the impact goes right into your music.
Just
Like
that's like that's where you start with. Just peg somebody in the back of the head. That's a good
yeah,
one.
and then like the impact sound goes right into your music. Like you guys could one of them was telling me
Yeah.
how they made stickers like with the QR codes and put them all around the school, and the principal brought them into the office and they're like, "What's this?" And they're like, "I don't know." They're like, "Well, if you keep doing this, we're gonna suspend you." I'm like, "Bro, you should just kept doing it." You guys are still
Just made it,
young.
yeah. Just like I would just videotape myself right at the office, like, hey, just like have the principal
That's
come out of the room, just like sounds like something out of
so do you
like,
guys
hey,
have
we're live.
any upcoming shows coming up for the rest of the year?
Uh yeah, so we have a pretty exciting um year, first year of coming up. Year of Dusty, as I'm calling it internally. Uh, but everyone gets like annoyed with it. But so we have tons of music coming up. I think, we're definitely gonna be dropping songs and giving them love, and then to support that, uh, yeah, we have as of right now, we have a show at Saturday that's sold out, opening up for some hardcore bands. We are what is it? Jigsaw Youth, School Drugs, Beef and Push. So Beef and Push are from Philly, School Drugs from New Jersey, Jigsaw Youth from New York, and then we have it one more Philly show, Philly. Oh, wait, sorry, February. I was thinking Philly because it's in Philly. Sorry. So one Philly February show, and then we're not going to be in Philly for a while. We're going to be playing a show about like we're going to be hitting Chicago for the first time
Hmm.
and taking a band trip. Everyone has that gripe that they spend too much time playing shows on tour. Well, I mean that's a good thing. That's what you want to be doing. But like everyone's like, hey, I want that one. Like you wish you had that one extra day in that one city to do something nice. So we're gonna take a weekend. We're gonna play a great show in Chicago. We have some really good locals. A really young crowd. They're cracked. It's gonna be fun. So that's gonna be in April. Um, so April, March unannounced. We have, and then yeah, and then we're gonna hit a small weekender with Friend Circle that's unannounced. And we're really excited because we're gonna close it out in Philly, and that lineup is set, and it's a very exciting lineup. It's gonna
Hmm.
be. I'm gonna leak it here because I'm way too excited. But it's Alter Boy. It's gonna be LOL. It's Leah. Lola. It's Leah. Us and Friend Circle. And I think it just in terms of when I listen to and I'm remove us out of the equation. Uh, Alter Boy, they're great. They're new, and I love them. They have this one song I'm just obsessed with. Scream Queen. Uh, so stoked to be playing multiple shows with them. And then LOL It's Leah, I'm a huge fan. Our producer kind of told me about her, like, hey, you should check out this music. And then, my old drummer plays in it, and I was like, oh, Buff Pete, because they're both named Pete. So one was shorter and he was more buff. So we have regular Pete and Buff Pete. Um, so Buff Pete plays for LOL It's Leah, and then in doing so, you learn that her songs are amazing. She's an incredibly hard worker, and her live show is incredible.
I it's I'm trying to figure out if it's the same person my business partner went and saw and loved her. I'm trying to think how you
where
spell her name. It's like LOL,
yeah, it's
right?
Leah. Like
Yep.
LOL, it's Leah, just like that.
Yep.
That's
My business
funny.
partner loves her. She wanted her at our festival next year.
Where did she see her if you don't if you happen to know?
I think I don't know if she'd seen her or she did like an interview. How do you spell
Yeah, just
LOL?
LOL, it's Leah, just without the H.
Um, let's see. Back in July.
Oh, that's right.
I think there was an
Early.
interview on her debut album. So my
God.
business partner went and did like a Zoom with a bunch of people and talked to her and stuff. I was like, why does that name sound so familiar? I was like, I think
Yeah.
I know who that is.
Yeah, she's great. Her live show is like she puts a lot of attention to detail in her live show. Um, so it's really great. She covers Jonas Brothers, Year 3000, which is a genius idea. Shout out her for that. And yeah, she's somebody I've gotten to see her twice with. You know, um, and yeah, it's been just haven't been disappointed. So it's like I like people who work hard. You can see it reflects in the music and things like that. And so people like Friend Circle works really hard too. So I'm really excited to uh, be able to hang with them on the 3 days. And so that's like that bill definitely represents that. So everyone's like four hardworking bands with really great music out, each one with a distinct flavor of punk. Like hard to be disappointed. You're not gonna go there get the same stale thing. You're gonna be rocking through and through. So I'm excited for that.
That is exciting. I can't wait till that gets announced. I think my business partner will probably take her trip if it comes around the area.
Yeah.
I don't know. She
So,
loves her, so she wanted her so bad on our festival next
yeah.
year, and I was like, I don't even know who she is.
Hey, I just say I'd second that.
I'll let her know.
I
I
say
was like,
like go
we
for it.
actually talked about her. All right. All right. So we have less than a minute left, actually. That was
Oh
fast.
shit! Look at that.
So I have a lot of interviews. I still gotta edit. Like I got like 8 interviews to edit
Hmm.
still. So once I edit, like I've been doing on the Instagram, I do like, like a minute 30-second clip of certain aspects throughout the video that I feel like everyone should hear and stuff. And then the full video be on YouTube. And then the audio will be on the podcast on our Spotify.
Hey, sweet.
Yeah, I decided, I was like, you know what, let me do a podcast, and just put audio. Sometimes I like to listen to, podcasts and stuff. Eventually I told my business partner I wanna basically turn our publication slash Summer Screen Fest into a podcast and like just talk to musicians from all over the place and just get to know people and everything because I feel like I could talk for hours and Zoom only has like a limit of 30 to 40 minutes sometimes. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, I could talk for like 30 more minutes, 40 more minutes, but it makes it easier for bands and me to like feed off of it next time. So like if the call ends early, we're like, oh shit, we have more to talk about. So let's do another call. And that's when new music gets released. That's when new tours get released and stuff. So it's an excuse to talk some more.
Yeah, and given that we have both those things coming up, if there is a next call, boom, we'll be set. Already have the topics there. Because
Exactly.
I am really eager. I'm just waiting on artwork and stuff like that. Just love that. I think like the theme is just trying to be like intent, like detail with intent, and we hope that pays off.
Okay. Well, the call's about to end. I'm gonna hit you up on your Instagram and I'm gonna ask like when you release new music, like send it to me so I can write a review on it and stuff.
Sounds good.
Um, all right. So it was great talking to you. I want to say bye before the call ends.
Likewise. Bye. Have a great one.
Bye.